Very interesting, guys. How much damage did I do? Not that much. I mean, about the same. Do you always do one arena? While it's out, I've been trying to play a bit more of it because I didn't get to play it the last time. And it's also kind of fun when it's not like that. To be fair, that one kind of sucked for several reasons, but it happens. But yeah, I do like playing arena. There's no way I pick Jhin. I think I'll pick TF. I think TF's pretty good. I think TF is pretty good. TF's pretty fun.
I recommend skipping.
Yeah, that guy was just like, I don't know, he's off his meds or some shit. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff, guys. Crazy stuff. It's fine, though. We get TF this game. Yes. I want to play Jhin at some point, but, like, not in a random arena. I feel like that'd be way too... Like, I played it before, and you just get 2v1'd every game. I think Jhin with a support would be really fun, though. Because supports are broken. A lot of augments are good on TF. I think one of the best ones is, I don't know what it's called, but every time you auto-attack, it does your AP as on-hit damage. That one's really good. Wing's new TFT set, am I excited about it? I haven't played TFT at all in, like, months. I just got, like, this thing where I remember when I had to play TFT